don't know. I think Iglesias should definitely. He should be extended. The one in shortstop and the closer for sure.
Oh, for sure, the closer.
Yeah, the closer for sure. Dude, I don't even know who wants. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of teams interested in him.
Iglesias, he would be.
Yeah, Rice
Rise with Iglesias would be a good cheap option. To be closer. That said, it's a little
intro.
Yeah.
Should I back up a little compressed in this? Oh.
It's okay. Just all could be adjusted in post. Yeah. Thanks for joining me, Omar. This is my good friend Omar. We talk a lot about baseball. Obviously, being from Southern California, there's multiple teams out here to choose from, and we both root for different teams. As you can see above us, we have a Tyler Skaggs jersey and a Clayton Kershaw jersey. Two opposing LA teams, one from Anaheim, one from Los Angeles, both in the heart of LA, both with fans with huge hearts and huge passion. So, welcoming today, Omar. Yeah.
Yes, that's me.
So, just wanted to start this segment off and just had this thought about interviewing a lot of my friends who are fans of other teams. Obviously, I have friends with Padres like Fandom, Angels Fandom. Omar is also a fan of the Blue Jays. I have friends and like roommates who are fans of other teams such as the A's, the Giants. So I thought it would be a cool segment to sit down with some of them and kind of break down why those are their favorite teams and kind of get in the root of it. So, kind of just starting off, why are the Angels your favorite team? Given like a lot of people like to start this beef on the 5 freeway of the Dodgers are the best. No, the Angels are the best. Like the Dodgers buy championships and all this stuff. I'll let you take
away. You hear it all the time, and I think I've always gotten the most shit for it. But I don't know if I'm cursed.
No, go for it.
Oh yeah. I've always gotten some shit for it, for sure. Especially like when I was playing baseball in high school, there was a lot of Dodger fans on the high school team, and I was probably one of like maybe 3 or 4 that were actually Angels fans as well. But just how I originally became an Angels fan, it's actually pretty much started from like birth. One of my earliest memories as a kid, like the ones that I retained, and I don't even know if people still remember like anything as far as like being an infant or a child, probably like very, very limited, but I do recall one of the first ones I retained as a kid was being in my dad's arms, like at Angel Stadium. It was around, I think, like the 100 levels, probably closer to like left field. It was in between like where the foul pole was at and then the home plate side. I just recall just a specific moment. It was a day game, and they were about to take the field, and they were still wearing like the pinstripe jersey, like the navy blue.
Yeah.
I think they were still, I can't recall if it was the California Angels at the time or they were already the Anaheim Angels, but I do recall like that specific memory. And just growing up, I went to a couple of Angel games, and that's just because my dad, I think after he graduated high school and he started working, he worked at this cleaners. I think the place was called like Bonded Cleaners in Mission Viejo. I don't know if it still exists or not, but I think he used to work there for a little bit or just like a couple of years, and he eventually ended up being a manager at the cleaners, and the owner was, I think, an Angels season ticket holder, and so sometimes when he couldn't go to the games, he would give those tickets to my dad. And then so we as a family, it would be either just me and like some of my other siblings that go with them, or it's just the whole family. It just kind of depends on what was available or not. And I didn't actively start to watch the Angels up until 2009, because I've sat down on like a couple of games, like watching like on TV with my dad when they were like in 2004, 2007, like when they were up against the Red Sox. It seems like every time they faced the Red Sox in the middle of the 2000s, they just couldn't get it done. And then in 2009, like when they faced them in the playoffs, like they finally eliminated them in the division series. And then so in the championship series, they were up against the Yanks, and two teams are really, really solid. If you go back and look at the lineup in 2009, there was one game in August where every single hitter on the team batted over 300. Like every single hitter. And that's crazy.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that screenshot of like the Yankees lineup where it's like there was no way like a pitcher can strike these guys out. Like,
yeah, all, like, in 2009 there were so many legends on that team. It was hard to beat them. But the Angels had some really solid hitters themselves and some pretty solid pitching. And I can recall I was a freshman in high school, and I was just like actively just watching them. And there was this one specific game. I think it was either game 1 or game 2. I went to like this party that my older brother's friend was having, and it was so bad because at one end of the room, like they were all just hanging out and all that stuff. But then there was some times where I was like, dude, I want to watch the game, so I would like go to the living room. Yeah, I was a pretty bad friend.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, there you go.
Oh, so I would just like watch the game, and they ended up I think losing that game as well. They recall if it was like game 1 or game 2, but anyways, and so ever since they lost that series, I was like, dude, like this team, I believe in this team. Like this team is so cool, and I know that if they're on the right track in order to eventually like make another World Series, and here we are still trying to get to at least hell even make the playoffs again.
I know. I always sound like such a spoiled Dodger fan, and I have a big gripe with being a Dodgers and a spoiled Dodgers fan, but that's the biggest thing for me too, is that I'll say something like, man, I'm so frustrated with the Dodgers. Like, you already got your championship. It's like, well, no one believes that it even exists.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just want them to like walk around and people would be like, yeah, like, they're championships league-wide, but I mean, that's just being a little selfish. But I can definitely resonate with that. Speaking of, like, my girlfriend gives me shit. She's like, of course you're like checking the game. Of course you're watching that game. It's like, yeah, man, it's my team. I gotta make sure that they're winning. Like, I don't even want to check it right now though, because right now they're getting shut out by the Rockies of all teams. But it's neither here nor there.
It's okay. The Angels have been doing a lot of losing lately. Yeah, especially with teams like they can't beat anyone from the AL West this year. They got the record, but it's so bad.
It's crazy because the Dodgers, for some reason, for a good while they couldn't really beat anyone in the NL West too. Like they were getting smacked around by the Padres, and smacked around by the Giants. I mean, that's been going on off and on. Like right now, they're on pace to lose 2 out of 3 for this weekend series against the Rockies. And I don't want to say they're getting dominated by the Diamondbacks. That's not true. They only lost 1. But yeah, like it always seems to be like every season that one team that's a thorn in their side. For like everyone knows that this year it's the Giants, but like this year or at least this decade, who is that one team that's been a thorn in the side for the Angels?
Oh, just one specific team that when they face it just can't seem to like get it done. The A's for sure.
The A's?
I always feel the team's just good enough to beat the A's, and for some reason they just can't. At least like this season as well. And they've had troubles against them as well.
Yeah, that's a tough one being in the same division because you obviously want to be the best you can and beat the best that you can in your own division, just because like that's when you make the most ground. If in this last month, for my example, the Dodgers I think at some point went 18-4, and the Giants went like 17-5 or something like that. They're both ridiculously good teams, and like they only gained 1 like win against them, or they gained 1 game. So it's like it really is super essential to like take that fight to individual rivals. So I can understand like with the A's, it's just like given our playoff format, like it's just hard to even get into the postseason as you mentioned. So just making those games up is just like a big thorn in their side. It's just
yeah. But I think a lot of the problems or issues within the team too, I think for the last couple of years, it's just inconsistency, and then they've had some trouble with injuries as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I think that's every team. I feel every team has their own stretches where they can't necessarily perform at the highest caliber in which they know that they can play.
Yeah.
But it's just always just injuries.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I were to put, for example, like in 2014, I always think about that year because I think they could have been good enough in order to, I wouldn't say like win the World Series, but definitely like, make it. I think down the stretch in August, and it was the same year that Tyler Skaggs was actually doing really well. Like it was Tyler Skaggs, it was Garrett Richards, it was Jared Weaver as well. Was doing really good. He didn't have necessarily the velocity that he had in the past, but he knew where to locate pitches, and it seemed like he knew just what pitch to throw in certain counts. And for some reason, it just always went his way, and that's why he was the game one pitcher in the ALDS as well.
I was low-key a huge fan of Garrett Richards on Boston this year.
Yeah.
And I even had him in my fantasy, but man, he was an unfortunate sticky merchant. You know, like he was definitely like one of those dudes like getting the sticky, man. You can tell like based off of the games afterwards. He even had I think a post-game interview saying like, "Yeah, man, I just learned this pitch like 4 days ago," and like that was like. It was a little heartbreaking to hear, but it's like you knew that most of your players, or most of your favorite players, were using sticky substances. Kind of going off of two different like tangents. First being injuries, and second being the substance. How did you kind of take that whole substance crackdown? Do you feel like that affected the Angels in your eyes in the games that you have observed?
No, actually no. And I was kind of anticipating to maybe see some different, I don't know, like different performances after that whole ban was put in place, but I didn't really recognize anyone that I was affected by it. If anything, I think it might have been around the time where Patrick Sandoval and Jose Suarez were like coming up.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I think it might have been around that time. And it's just crazy to always hear or always think that it took one game where Shohei Ohtani couldn't make the start because he was late. I think he might have like missed. I think it was like traffic or something.
He missed a bar or his bar got delayed,
yeah.
So he couldn't make his start.
Mm-hmm. And so someone had to take his place because he didn't have time to like warm up or get prepared and everything like that. So Patrick Sandoval ended up starting, and they actually lost that game, but it was because of the bullpen. But he actually had a pretty solid start. I believe he went 5 innings. And watching Patrick Sandoval in the previous years, he was just kind of that pitcher where you could see potential in his stuff, but he just needed some time to develop. And then sure enough, when he came out, well, originally he was just a long reliever. I think that was mostly his role when the starting pitcher might have just didn't have the stuff working for him. For the game, and he needed to get taken out, and you needed that guy that can just eat up the innings in relief. And Patrick Sandoval and Jose Suarez were those two pitchers, and then just given the more opportunities that they had to perform, the better that they did. But yeah, it's just unfortunate that Patrick Sandoval, I think he's out for the rest of the year. Now,
really?
Yeah. What's it like a fracture or something like that? But it was something to do with his back. But he's out for the rest of the year.
Man, I will say as a Dodgers fan, Patrick Sandoval and I think Bria gave us a headache, bro. Like, yeah, the Dodgers took 2 or 3, but like that series showed a lot more than the Dodgers taking 3. That showed that the Angels are actually like a talent to kind of be like followed on and not kind of just taken like lightly. I think they're definitely a team that can, make the push in the later years, but just not right now. They're not a win now team. They're a team where they should be winning in the future.
They're almost there.
They're almost there.
Yeah, they're almost there. And it's just going back to inconsistencies and the injuries that we were talking about. Even going back to the whole 2014 season. So Tyler Skaggs ended up getting Tommy John, so one arm was out. And then later, Garrett Richards, he suffered an injury in Boston, and he was out for the rest of the year as well. So 2 solid arms in 2014 were done, and they were going right down to the end of the season. And yeah, like their bats were pretty solid. They were pretty much a complete team, for sure. It was really fun to watch them in 2014, especially the second half. But then September rolled around, and then their offense just was depleted, and they just weren't the same team, dude.
Who was the dude that broke his was it his ankle or his knee?
Oh, Kendricks Morales, dude, I was at that game. I was at that game in 2000. I think it was 2010. He had a walk-off grand slam. Everyone was so excited. The whole stadium was electric, and then all you just see him is just jump up, and then the whole team like just puts weight onto him. And I don't know if it was because like he just stepped on, but he broke his foot, and that was a solid bat as well in the lineup. I enjoyed watching him.
Yeah, I that's always like so tough. It's just like watching baseball, watching the teams that you are interested in. You just think of what if, like, what if they made this trade? Like,
Yeah.
What if this? Like,
Did you know the Angels used to have Zach Greinke?
They used to?
Yeah, they used to have Zach Greinke. You know, they also used to have Josh Hamilton, but Josh Hamilton he never performed the way that he did in Texas.
I want to say I'm not shocked to hear he was there. I just can't remember what years and when that happened. What year was that?
Zach Greinke? I think it might have been 2012.
Okay. Because I know he started with the Royals, went to the Brewers, and there was like TV static from when that happened, and then he went to Dodgers for a few years, went to D-backs, and then went to the Astros. Yeah, he actually just got lit up today by the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
Dude got lit up. It was kind of.
Zach Greinke was more of a rental though. That's why you probably didn't hear much about it because they only got him for a couple months.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Free agency. Let's take a quick break to get our chelas out.
Oh, this video is sponsored by Modelo, brewed for the ones with the fighting spirit.
Chris Modelo.
Yeah.
Proud sponsors of the LA Dodgers.
Yeah. Oh, really? With a fighting spirit, that's me still rooting for the other LA team, but not really. From Anaheim through all these tough times.
It is what it is. It's the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim
of Orange County, of California,
the United States of America, of the galaxy.
Of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
But you just call them the Los Angeles Angels for short.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just La.
Just
lad. But yeah. So we talked about a little bit about the rising arms in the pen going to the starting role, which I've kind of started to see that a lot of teams do that, or at least try that. I know the Angels have started to do that, and I've seen the Philadelphia Phillies do that, and I've seen the Yankees do that. The Yankees being most notable with Nestor Cortez, and the Phillies being with Ranger Suarez, and then obviously now with Sandoval, Berea. There's a third dude that I'm missing. Detmers. It was also
Reed Detmers.
Yeah,
I think he just needs some time for sure to develop. Yeah, he has some pretty nasty stuff, and I think I don't know. Every time I see him pitch, it reminds me of Clayton Kershaw. Even like to the follow through. Have you
a little bit?
It? Just so it reminds you of it.
He reminds me more of
curveball.
He reminds me more of Urias. Like,
really?
Yeah, I think of like his arm slot and whatnot. I think Kershaw. Shout out Kershaw. I think he has a very unique arm slot and like the way his follow through is. If there's one player that reminds me of Clayton Kershaw, and I hate to say this, but he's a San Diego Padres hand. But it's I think Mackenzie Gore. If you ever like want to like see like a very talented southpaw, Mackenzie Gore. Yeah, I don't think he's made his debut yet. He's still in AAA, but I want to say either this year or next year he's gonna make his debut. Man, that dude, he's gonna be a good arm for them. On the topic of the Padres, I think I've mentioned before in one of these videos that for me, my least favorite fan base is the Padres. I'm not counting out the Yankees because I think the Yankees and the Mets have a pretty interesting, I'm not going to use the colorful language, fan base. I think just recently, the Mets fan base was booing a lot of their players, just like booing Javi Baez. Who's their shortstop again? I'm trying to remember his name. He's
for the Padres? Or
no. For the Mets.
For the Mets?
Francisco Lindor. Yeah, so obviously, it's a down season for a lot of people. It comes and goes in a game of baseball. Bellinger is having a down season. So it is what it is. It kind of comes with the nature of the beast. But I don't really know how I feel about fans booing players a lot of the times. I'll call it my own fan base. Like when they boo Kenley Jansen, but then they're there to kind of like roar for them, like, oh my god, Kenley is my closer, or they're so quick to go after Dave Robertson. And like, he's the worst manager in baseball. But then when he does good plays, there's silence, cricket sounds. And it's like for me, it's my personal pet peeve. Like I'm all for criticizing players. I'm all for criticizing managers and like their actions, but it's just boo and send death threats and just like openly like clown on them. It's like to a certain extent, it's just too much, man. Like in my opinion, and like that's the one thing that I don't like about some fan bases. I also don't really like the whole like BLA on the Padres and like how they start fights. I know Dodgers fans have started fights.
You only hear beat LA. You don't hear beat like anywhere else.
They don't say
any
beat
other
SF.
city.
They don't say beat Angels. They don't say beat the Diamondbacks. They don't say beat the Mets.
I know.
It's always beat LA.
Why does everyone hate LA? They have their own cheer.
That's what I'm saying. Like everyone loves to hate on LA. Like it is literally another sport aside from baseball. Like if it's not hating on LA, it's like shitting on the Angels or shitting on the Mariners or shitting on the Diamondbacks. I think it's a different thing. I want to include them. Or it's like, yeah, it's like almost as American as like apple pie to do at this point. It's just like enemy number one is Kenley Jansen and Dave Roberts. From your experience, what is like a pro and a con from the Angels fan base? You can name one.
A pro and a con. The Angels fan base. I think it's just being like pretty. I wouldn't say because everyone's just passionate about their team. I think it's just loyal to their team. Like no matter what, the fan base is just kind of there. No matter what happens in the season, I think everyone at the ballpark. I feel when I'm there, like enjoys being at the ballpark and rooting for their team.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a good environment. I just wish there was, when the team wasn't winning, that there was a little bit more support. But the ones that are on there, like there's a couple like Twitter or how would I even describe it? You know how you have those pages like on Twitter where it's all dedicated to like maybe news or maybe you would follow like YouTubers or other fans that are just really actively passionate about it or about their team. Yeah, for the most part, they're always just there no matter what, and it's just funny to see them like always just post memes about like all the shit that's happening and just actively just watching a lot of like fucking live tweeting every single game. It seems like they're just always talking about the game and there's so many fucking games like in the season. So I think loyalty is definitely one of the pros for sure, no matter what happens. As far as the cons, dude, there's a con definitely in the Angels family. I just can't think of one right now. But I would want to throw that question to you then. So what do you think is a con? And then maybe something that comes out will pop something in my head. For sure.
Would you like me to name a con of my team?
No, of the Angels.
Oh, the Angels?
Yeah, the Angels fan base.
You know, that's kind of, from a Dodgers fan, it's a little hard because, for one, I don't really go to as many Angels games as I do Dodgers games. And I do want to point it out that I do respect how loyal Angels fans are. Like, statistically, the Angels haven't been great. On paper and record-wise, they haven't. But their fan base always seems to be loyal. I've always lived in LA County in West Covina. But now that I've moved to Fullerton, obviously I'm a little closer to the heart of the Angels. Should be going to more games, but I always see people driving with, like, Angels hats or, like, the license plate covers or the stickers on their cars. And they're always passionate fans, like you said, and they're very loyal. And I think, especially given the fact that, you know, they have players like Ohtani, they've definitely made the effort into, you know, grasping out into, like, different cultures, and they've definitely, like, made the effort into accepting, like, their local culture. Mm-hmm. I would say the one thing is that, and I'll make this a three-parter. Their fan base is great, but I feel like when it comes to other fan bases, like if they like go to the Yankees, if they go to the Dodgers, or like the Boston Red Sox, they're just gonna like constantly be like, Are your teams just good because they buy like championships, or your team's just good because of this? I don't think people should deter from the fact that the Angels' payroll is actually like kind of up there because they do have a good have a good presence in the media, and they do have an owner who's filthy rich. They have the funds to make their investments, and I don't feel like the Angels fans should always resort to insulting other fan bases, being like, you buy this and you buy that. You guys are like the Death Star of baseball. It's like, look, man, loyal fans, A++. But when it comes to like going after each other's throats, I'm like, you guys buy this? Like, I think it's a little far of a reach. And why I say this is a three-parter is that I do acknowledge that the Angels make a good effort into going to different communities. Like the Japanese community I think is a fantastic thing that they're doing. I think this sport should be grown all over the world, and I think that's like their first step. And I think having players like Vlad Guerrero Sr. was a good grasp too, because they were going to like the Latino like community too, the Dominican Republican community. But I definitely do think that they should embrace Latino culture a little bit more the way the Dodgers do.
Yeah, especially they live really close to Santa Ana.
I think if they could take a cue from like what the Dodgers do in terms of really rooting themselves into the city of Los Angeles, like that would make me like really proud to like have them in my city. I mean, my city is still LA, but I live in Fullerton. And then the third gripe I have, and we'll segue this into like a question that you can answer as well after you answer your con, is that the point that I'm making of them having a big presence in the media and a pretty hefty payroll, I do wish that Artie Moreno would spend smart and have a better executive staff under him to spend smart. And I think it is well capable of signing players who are in kind of like the mid-range of like skill that don't have to be star players. I feel like it's well capable of the Angels to be the team, sort of like the Nationals, kind of like the Red Sox too, to a certain extent in 2018, where like they had big name players, but they also had small name players who were doing the job. Like the Nationals didn't have big name players other than like Juan Soto and like Max Scherzer. Like even Trey Turner went under the radar. I think it benefits a team to sign mid-range players to smaller contracts. Like I've been preaching it to the sky. I think they should extend both Iglesias and to not even max deals. I think they should sign him to like a 3 to 4 to like a 60 mil or 50 mil. I think that's super respectable. And I think for me, that's just the three gripes I've had in my experience with Angels. And I will say that there's gripes that I can note on the Dodgers fan. But go ahead.
Yeah, going back to when you were talking about the fan base being more diverse, if there's a maybe not the fan base, but maybe as an organization, maybe like reach out to more of the Orange County community and not like associate yourselves with maybe just like only the Anaheim like area. You know, you have an entire county that you can fill in the seats. I mean, it's like a 50,000 plus seat venue. And every single time that you go, and you've gone, and even some of the pictures that I take at the stadium, like it's hardly ever full at all.
That's the one thing. Like I said, my heart's in LA, but I'm physically in Orange County. I would love to see a packed house at an Angel game. Like, it's just, I think the only time that's close is when it's like LA versus LA.
Yeah, it's either the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Yankees, like a big market team that's playing in Anaheim. That's the only time, but. The last time that I saw it electric and full was in the Division Series in 2014. Like I haven't had that environment. I haven't gone to a single game that had that similar environment.
I would love to see what a post game feels like at Angel Stadium. They got the
thunder sticks, dude. You know how you have the towels everywhere else? They got the thunder sticks.
I had the pleasure of going to game two or three. I don't remember. Of the Dodgers versus Nationals, and while that series was heartbreaking, I'm so happy the Nationals got the chip. But man, like, there was nothing like it. Like, being in a stadium for a postseason game, it, like, brings chills just thinking about it. I think just seeing so many fans, even, like, the fans that don't really, like, go to games as often, just being there and just being rowdy.
You feel an energy that's not there in the regular season.
Else.
And another thing that you observe is that every person, I feel like every person is invested in every single pitch. like 100% focused on every single pitch, and they're reacting like literally a strike. They're cheering. Hell yeah! So what I was saying beforehand, one bad spot in there. What I was talking about when I was watching that playoff game is this was like my phone was the whole view of the field. I can only probably see like this much of the field, and like I couldn't. Yeah, I enjoyed just being in the ballpark, but there was also a TV where you can actually see, let's say, the broadcast. For example, if you're watching on like Spectrum Sports, they would have like the actual feed like on the TV. So I guess it wasn't that bad, but I would feel like it was just on my end. Like, dude, I should have just got like the nosebleeds and saw the whole field and experienced it from there. But you live and you learn. Never got a chance to go to another playoff game, but hopefully maybe next year or something. If they even make it.
Or the NL West.
Or yeah, that's it. But with that, I feel like I have a lot more to share. I'll be honest, I haven't watched many of the games lately for the Angels, so I couldn't really talk about stuff more in depth. I'll be prepared next time. But yeah, if we want to run this again, I'll be a lot more prepared, and I feel like I have a lot more to share. I have a lot of experiences going to games and watching like games at home. Even just, dude, there was one time in 2019, where me and my brother, we were talking about, we should go to the first game that the Angels came back after Tyler Skaggs' death. I think it was going to be a good one. But I forgot, like, we had an opportunity, but I think it just fell through, and maybe we were just doing something else. I think we were doing something else, but we managed to catch, like, most of the game. I think we were watching maybe towards like the beginning of the innings, like third inning. But anyways, we didn't go, which was the important part. And that ended up being the game that was the no-hitter. And we missed the no-hitter. I was like, oh Jesus. But we watched it on TV, and we were all happy and all that stuff. And I was like, bro, like we could have watched a no-hitter. Like we should just fucking gone.
Who was the no-hitter done by?
I think it was like Felix Pena, and I think it was another bullpen piece.
Oh, it was combined?
Yeah, it was a combined no-hitter. Yeah. And who was the catcher? The catcher that caught that no-hitter, I think plays for Detroit now. I forgot his name, yeah. But anyways, point was, like, if you want me to come on again to talk more Angels, be a lot more prepared next time. And, yeah, it should be fun.
Alright, with that said, we're going to wrap it up now. We'll go ahead and have it prepared for you guys, and we'll go ahead and split it up, and we'll schedule some more interviews with other fans. But I just want to go ahead and thank Omar once again for going on here and shooting this pilot episode with me. Hopefully more to come, and just more exciting baseball content that I can bring you guys.
Yeah, dude. You're the pilot, and I'm just there for the ride.
Thank you, dude. Alright.